Welcome to Woodbine Mohawk Park on this Sunday evening. I'm Randy Waples. I'm going to be flying solo tonight here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and I'm going to try to get you through this Sunday night racing. And what a beautiful night we have for the racing tonight. So actually surprised that Chad made it into work. I thought he'd be out on the golf course on a day like today. Absolutely stunning Ontario weather out there today, and we had some nice weather over in Sweden today. I don't know if any of you guys got up early and watched the Elite Lop today. I, just kind of glanced over it. Not looking to cause any world wars or anything like that, but 48 flat, I don't know. I mean, I guess anything's beyond, anything's possible, but they told me that they set it up with a 25 flat opening quarter on a 5/8 mile track, trotters. Wow. Anyway, either way, I heard that they had a huge crowd, big reception over there for all the horses and the horsemen. Huge crowds that they usually have there. But I think after COVID, they said that it kind of dwindled down a little bit, and then they said for whatever reason this year there was a lot of people there again this year. So it's always nice to see the Elite Lop well supported. One of the most famous harness races in the world. I never got a chance to compete in that. I know a few people that did. My brother was over there too. He said it was absolutely fantastic racing over there. So, bucket list for Randy Waples. Anyway, interesting night that we had going last night, and I think that we're going to do a recap on some of the action that was happening here last night. We had 3 really nice stake races. And we're going to start off showing you the replay of the Some Beach Somewhere. And this one's going to be win in 48-1 by Brandon Boulevard. And what I would consider to be a well-looked after Brandon Boulevard. He is yet to ask him here right now. Now, my own self, I would say that at some point this horse is probably going to start to kind of go to sleep, because when they get out there by themselves like that and you don't do anything with them, you kind of got to get their attention back again. I thought the horse was incredibly good. So that's another one that add to the list, the growing list of horses that's going to be facing off against the undefeated Bojangles. But Brandon Boulevard really looking good. So let's go to the graduate. We had 2 eliminations of the 4-year-old graduate, won the trot and won the pace. And this one is the trot. You're going to see Jason Bartlett again is going to try to knife his way up the inside. At this point, James has him basically shut down, but James's horse is starting to tire, and when they tire, they will drift a little bit, and he starts to drift a little bit, and Jason is able to find his way up the inside and get the gagne. Really nice effort there by Monserrati in that race. And then we had a big upset in this one here. This was a huge throwdown. This one, we had Prince Hal Hanover up on top, and we had Bruno No, causing as much havoc on the outside. We got Louis coming off of Prince Hal's back with Sugarman, and it looks like Louis is going to get the job, but look on the outside of your screen. Here comes James, but look at Mr. McClure. He is absolutely honking on the end of it, and that is going to be Captain Deo for Bob McClure and Gary Murner. Huge mile. But it's funny because we were talking about this race, me and Mark McKelvey, before the race went, and we mentioned Captain Dale. I had him in for 4th. He went off at 25-1, but we said that, even if we didn't really look at him as a win candidate due to who he was in against, he's bringing the speed that if there's, they get a little crazy, he can get the job done, and sure enough, he got the job done. So Brandon Boulevard, 1-5, was a winner of the Some Beach Somewhere, and in 48-1, stakes record, new stakes record for the Great Some Beach Somewhere stake. Montserrat was the winner in there. He looked like he was your favorite, 6-5 in there. And the Captain Dale, we watched that one, 25-1 on the end at fastest mile of the night. Really raced very well in there. It's nice to see it. He's just a horse that's brought a lot of speed, and unfortunately he's had to race, against Bojangles as a 2-year-old, and not as Bojangles, but had to race good horses like Legendary Hanover and Nijinsky, I think it is, and now he's going to be out there on his own now, just bringing that speed. So nice to see Captain Deo coming up with a nice graduate win in there. Favorites went 4 for 12 That's not too bad, 33%. You know, I mean, I've seen it like higher than that. Would be nicer to see it a little bit lower, but still not a horrible number. Waterloo 17-1, Barb Leahy 34-1, PL Aussie with Jonathan Drury 55-1. $113, I think that one paid, and then II Captain Dale at 25-1. So obviously there was, you know, a lot of long shots to be raced last night. The early bird pick 5 paid $56,000 for in there. The pick 6 carryover that we have heading in tonight, almost $11,000 in that one. And the jackpot high 5 carryover continues to grow, and it's up at a healthy $73,000. So by the time the North American Cup rolls around, there's probably a pretty good chance that that's going to be up over $100,000, and that's always nice because there's always a chance that you know, we can have a mandatory payout on one of those big nights. Kind of a nice way to bring the crowd in when you have a, you know, $100,000 plus carryover into that high 5. So continues to grow, and we're going to move on here. Are we moving on, Jason? Okay, so let's move on to tonight's program, and we're going to start off with race number 1. And this is going to be the kickoff to that $75,000 guaranteed pick 5. We got trotters, 5-year-olds and younger, non-winners of 3 races, but not more than 5. You Got It Kemp, I have in for second in here. We're going to start that way. I got him in for second. He made a break in that first race, but this guy brings a lot. I mean, you can see he was a super final champion as a 2-year-old, missed his 3-year-old year. Now he's back racing as a 4-year-old. Didn't, you know, the qualifiers look good, but didn't start off the way that we wanted, where there ended up being a refund on You Got It Kemp. But I'm going to throw him back in for second. Now, Bingo Night, got her in for third. She's going to go on to the Lasix program. Team Jones got 3 solid qualifiers into this girl. Her last 2, she was a winner both times, and her last one in 56, last quarter in 28-1. So I say she's good to go, but she does have a couple of tough horses in against her. Not really sure how hard they're going to want to be on her, but I do think that she's good enough to get up onto the ticket. But Ungawa is the route that I'm going to go with this one. This is a mighty, mighty drop down for this horse. You can see 2 starts ago, he ended up in this very same class and was the easiest of winners from the 9-hole. I mean, you know, this horse has been drawn really, really bad positions. He's had 3 9s, an 8, and a rail, and I don't really consider the rail for a trotter to be that much more advantageous than an outside post, so really drawn bad. Now he gets the 2-hole way down in class. Mark McDonald, I think, is picking up a really, really live drive out of the Paul McDonnell camp. So Ungawa is the way I'm going to go on to You Got It Kemp, on to Bingo Night, and in on the bottom I'm going to throw in PL Robert G, who usually throws good races in here as well. So that's how I'm going to start. And Ungawa going to be a sweep for all of us, and it looks like You Got It Kemp is going to be a sweep, except for Garnsdale is going to go Bingo Night. I can see that one after You Got It Kemp making that break. He's not even going to use You Got It Kemp, but I don't know. You Got It Kemp brings a lot, so I really do think that he can make his way up onto the board, but different set of eyes. So let's move on to race number 2. And this is going to be claiming handicap 12 to 16,000 on the pace. Got to love those claimers. Let's quickly talk about the 6-horse Forefather. I got him in for second. Jamie Copley took over the training duties on this guy. Tyler Schlattman had a real good role with Forefather. Now Jamie Copley takes over. Now he finishes second in this first race for Copley, but check out the last quarter, 25 flat. Wow. 20, I mean, we've always known that this horse possesses high speed on the end of his mile, but 25 flat, I mean, that is absolutely flying. I mean, you get to 26 flat, you can feel it out there. 25 flat, I mean, this horse was absolutely rolling. But the problem is sometimes he does have a tendency to get away, lag a little bit at the start and get away at the end of it. But that seems to be his best style of racing. It's just that you got to put up with not really seeing much of him for the first 3/4 of a mile. And then, you know, he comes steaming on the end of it. James is going to stick. He's been getting along really good with this horse. Drove him at different times for Schlattman, and now he's going to draw. This will be the second time for Jamie Copley. I'm going to throw him in for second. Tell It, Russ, Tell It. I'm going to throw him in for third. Recently gone into the Demers camp, and he's been racing very, very good for him. Little splitting his time between our track and Flamborough, but still racing well. But where I'm going to go is the 8-horse Code Cracker. I mean, this is a huge drop down for a horse that just won a 35,000 claiming handicap 2 starts ago, and then in his last race in that same in against that same bunch, does another chop and ends up finishing third in there to JJ Xavier. I just think that this is too much, dropping from a 30, 35, 40,000 claimers into 12 to 16. Obviously, there's a reason why, that there's a bit of a fire sale going on here, but I'm going to put him up on top. I just, if he comes to play at all, he's going to be a lot for anybody to beat in here. And with my second pick being Forefather, he's going to have to probably beat Codecracker when Codecracker goes one way and Forefather goes the other. So I don't know if he's going to have another last quarter and 25 flat into him or not, but he might need it in here tonight. So let's move on to race number 3, and we're going to stay with more trotters, actually. And all winners of 2,500 last 4 starts. We got a field of 8 in this one. Nice little group in here. This is going to be my worth a look in here. I'm going to play Phoenix up on top. I mean, there's some horses that are racing really good in here. Daffy Hanover I have in for second, PL Sapphire in for third, and I threw Pat Houdon's horse my way in for fourth. Always seems like he's got good wheels on the end of it, and he faces a lot of 10 and 9 horse fields. This is only an 8 horse field, gets him a little bit closer, and if he can apply those last quarters in 27 and change, he's going to pass a few horses here. So I'm going to throw him down in on the bottom. But Phoenix, he's got the 1 qualifier under his belt. And then last week, he showed up. I thought it was a good effort on the end of it, 28-1 and mile and 56. I'm pretty well guaranteed that I think anyway, that Bert's probably going to race him the same way. I mean, because the horse races just as good coming from off the pace as he does being up in front. And I think that as long as he doesn't get any serious traffic, there's nobody really in here that kind of scares me on and any more than I'm scared of Phoenix. So Phoenix is the way that I'm going to go. My numbers in race number 3. The kickoff to the early pick 4 is 6, 5, 1, and 8. So let's move on to race number 4. And this is an interesting race because this is going to be the kickoff, the pick 6 tonight. And last night we had a carryover. So we're going to be bringing in some seed money for this pick 6. There's carryovers over $10,000 going to be used to boost this pool up. Anytime that we've had a pick 6, they've usually gone for like really, really good money, anywhere between like say 40. I think I seen it the one time go for $70,000. It might have been a little bit more of a carryover, like maybe 20, 16 or 20, but I think it went for around 70,000. So this is going to go be a nice little pool tonight. So sharpen up the pens and maybe you can get yourself part of the pick 6, because I think that they're maybe giving you the first race in the pick 6 sequence, and that's going to be Premier First Star in race number 4. So let's take a look at the replay of Premier First Star in his last start. Now, his last start is going to be the first time that he's going to be on the Lasix program. As you know, I'm a big fan of second start Lasix, so that is what tonight is going to be. Now, I'm a big fan of second start Lasix if not too much is done in the early stages of the first start Lasix. This guy went right to the back and had good movement on the end of it for Daryl Thiessen and Mike Nowitzki. Now the horse moves into Jody Cullen's barn. Going to be leaving the Nowitzki barn. Going to be second start Lasix in the Cullen barn and picking up Travis Cullen in here. So big drop down for this guy, going from the non-winners of 6,000 down to the non-winners of 1,000. This is rock bottom on our circuit, and going into a very, very tough barn. Right now with Jody Cullen, having a great season. So let's take a look at Premier First Star, Daryl Thiessen with the guy. And like I said, he's got good movement on the end of it. You can see Daryl, he's a 7 horse. He gives him a little tap, but he's really a horse that's moving really, really well on the end of it. So I don't mind this, and the big drop down and going to a different barn. There's just a lot of different things that Premier First Star is going to be dealing with in here tonight. So he's going to be my top pick in here. I'm going to back him up with Crazy World for Kathy Chikeen and James McDonald. He's touring. Going to throw him in for third for Carmen Osiello and Jonathan Drury. Going to be making his way onto the Lasix program tonight, and I could see, it helping a horse like he's touring. Obviously brings some speed, but he should have a much faster mark than 54-2, and I think he should have more wins than 10. and 62,000 put away. I think the Lasix could really help this horse out big time, so I'm going to take a chance, throw him in for third. And then Military Secret, going to throw him in on the bottom. This is a 10-year-old Captain Treacherous that brings a lot of back class to these races, got an overall mark of 50-2, but he's also going to get a shoeing change tonight from Michelle Bowen. He's going to go from steel to aluminum in front, so they're going to try to make him a little bit quicker in here. Had to deal with the 10-hole in his first start back. That was in non-winners of 2,500. Now he takes another little step down into the non-winners of 1,000. So I think he's good enough to jump up on the ticket for Mark McDonald and Michelle Bowen. So let's move on to race number 5. And we have horses and geldings claiming 8,000 for 5,500 last 4 starts. Where I'm going to go here, I'm going to call him my beat the favorite, because he certainly hasn't been going off on favorite status, and that is Tour Champion. Now, he does have the 1 win. We seen that over our surface back in the wintertime, and it was a kind of a, what I would call it, maybe a soft track. Muddy, kind of soft sort of a track, and this horse just went down the road, was an easy winner in 53, and I think he won by like 9 or 10 lengths that day, and then he's just never come anywhere close to that. But here's where I'm going with it. I thought his first start for Demers was the soundest I've seen him in a long, long time. I thought the horse looked incredible out on the track. So let's take a look at the replay of Tour Champion, because he is going to be a single of mine in these opening pick 5, and he's going to be my top pick in this race. J.R. Plant does a lot of Gerard Demers' driving, and this one going to be second start Demers. We know that Demers is off to a huge start to his year. So let's take a look at Tour Champion and J.R. Plant. First start for Demers, and like you said, I think you'll understand why. I kind of want to go back to this guy. So right away, this big free-legged fellow out of the 2-hole. JR's back there looking for room, finding his way out there. But again, the big thing with him that I found was that he looked so sound in the post parade. Like, I mean, incredibly sound. I think he's just a little bit of a case of being out of position here a little bit. He had no momentum when he started him forward. Now, at this point, I don't see anybody passing him, but I still see him looking to pass horses. So I think it was a better effort on stalled. But where I'm really going with it is the fact that he was so sound. And I know that JR can get one off the gate. And if he's looking to, to do a down the road show, I think I would really take a chance with Tour Champion and just send him down the Riud. Because I think that he's incredibly sound. I think he's down in a very, very cheap kind of a class. He has been racing his last start. That was an 8,000 straight claimer. This is an 8,000 condition claimer. Look at the difference in the purse. 9,000 last week, 7,500 this week. This is a much cheaper class than what he was in his last start. I really like him in here tonight. Tour Champion is going to be a single for me. I'm going to throw Royal JK in on the bottom for Melissa Lamoureux. This one going to be second start Lasix. Really responded. The first start Lasix at London was a winner in there. Smokestack, an interesting one as well. This is going to be second start Cullen. Going to throw this one in for third. First start for them, he had the 9-hole, went to the back, but had some good movement on the end of it. You can see a back half in 55 flat, third quarter 27-1, overall mile of 53 flat. So he looked really good first start for Cullen. Hopefully he gets a nice kind of trip in here tonight. And in on the bottom, I went with the 8-horse Ragonite for Dean Nixon and Louis Waugh. I thought he raced really, really good in his last start for Nicky Boyd. So Louis Waugh could be picking himself up a live drive with this Dean Nixon trainee, Ragonite. So let's move on to race number 6. And this is going to be the start of the late pick 5 tonight. And I think, again, we're looking at a horse here that I think is going to be real, real tough in here. And that's going to be Catch Me Gracefully. Garnet also likes this one up in here tonight. Been doing a lot of racing at the B tracks. But, it's been competitive here. You can see down on the bottom line, raced here at Woodbine in an 8,000 claimer and finished second in there to, who is that there? Geez, got me on that one. But had a good second in there, paced home in 28 and 1, mile and 54. Then more or less disappeared to the B tracks for a while. Now comes back here in Melissa Loyer's barn. She's only had this horse 3 starts, had 2 wins and a 4th. This will be the 4th start for this one, and I think that she can come out of tonight with a win. Heaven's Little Door, going to be racing in here for Cullen. Another one coming over from the B tracks. Don't know much about this one, but racing very good on the Bs. So I'm going to throw her in as a piece of it. Captain Chloe, Andre Goyce, and Katie Graham. I'm going to throw this one in for 3rd. And Smells Like Teen Spirit, James McDonald for Robert Jarvis. Don't know much about this guy other than the fact he is taking a pretty substantial drop down, racing in the optional 10s over at Flamborough. Even before he had the qualifier and some time off, he was racing in optional 9s and 10s at London as well. Now he's going to face condition 8. So nice drop down, and he picks up James McDonald. So going to throw him down in on the bottom of my ticket in there. Catch Me Gracefully, a sweep with all the handicappers in that one, and I could see that happening. So let's move on to race number 7. And another interesting little bunch of claimers. I love having the claimers. This is, kind of like my bread and butter, I suppose. My dad didn't race a whole lot of claimers, raced a few, but I cut my teeth in Fred Hoffman's barn, and trust me, Fred had a lot of claimers. And, at that time, he was considered the king of the claimers on the backstretch, and just always, enjoyed getting a fresh horse, trying to get him a little bit better, and then getting him in to go, and playing that game with him. I always enjoyed that. I could understand why a lot of people, when they first get into this business, their first venture in is going to be a claimer, because you know what you're getting, and you can race them right back in 7 days. And that's the kind of that's the hook that we use sometimes, to get new people involved. So it's always nice to see a real nice, strong claiming program. And I think that we're starting to get a little bit more back into that. Maybe, not what it was years ago, but certainly, a little bit more each year I found in the last couple. But in this race, I think that I went a single in this one. Yes, I did. And that is going to be the 8-horse Stick 'em In, Let 'em Go for Gerard Demers. Demers barn, really, really hot right now. This guy has been racing extremely well. Each week he gets a little stronger and a little stronger. Look at the mile that he came up with last week. In fact, look at the mile he came up with last week. We're going to show you the mile that he came up with last week. I had it down as a good first over and multiple moves. So he had the 9-hole, going to have the 8-hole to deal with in here tonight as well. But I really don't think that this is, really any stronger bunch than what he had to face last week. I mean, Smiles for Miles is a nice 20,000 condition claimer, but no better than Volcanic in my opinion. And Volcanic, this horse easily handled Volcanic in his last start. So he's basically coming back to the same kind of bunch. And the only thing is his form is just incredibly good right now. So you can see JR, and I mean, he almost gets the job done a couple of times prior to this race. Really, really close to getting the victory, but really hard fought, looks good, and coming back with the 8-hole. So Stick 'em In, Let 'em Go is going to be my top pick in there. And again, I think he is a single in my pick 5, my late pick 5. So we also got a shoeing change, actually an equipment change coming in race number 7 too, for the 6-horse Can't Stop Lou. Recently good, just going to be first start for Lindsay Kerr. She's going to go blind to blinkers on Can't Stop Lou, and she's going to open the hobbles up 61.5 to 62.5. So Can't Stop Lou got a big stride on him. Going to go to a 62.5-inch hobble. Anytime you're over 60, that's a pretty big stride. So 62.5, that's a big horse. Okay, let's move on to race number 8. Get back onto the trots. This is going to be non-winners of 9,000. And this one, Mastercraft won't be racing with us tonight. He was my second pick in here tonight. I thought he looked real good in here, but now we're going to be down to a field of 7. And what it's really going to do is it's going to bring these outside horses into it. So last week with Perfetto, it looked like he, there was an objection filed by his driver in against, I can't remember who it was, but he filed an objection. The objection was disallowed, but yet there is an interference break going into the first turn. So, riddle me that. But anyway, if Dagfin was leaving with them last week, which he was, in the non-winners of 6,000, and now he's going to have the 5-hole to work with, I think there's a good chance he comes out of there again with them. I think the distance learning, there's a good chance that they're going to come out of there with him. They do race him from off, but he's on good form right now, and he's got good gate speed, so I could see them coming out of there with him. And where that does is Zed Athena, I think it maybe brings her more into the race, and she's actually the one that, even though my friend Jose is the way that I'm going to go, I'm kind of interested with Zed Athena, because this is the first time that we've seen Mark get back up on her and quite a while, and she hasn't really been, maybe, we've been kind of waiting for that, what she showed us last year. Haven't quite seen it yet, but maybe tonight with the addition of James, we might see that out of her. So this is kind of a little bit of a dangerous race since the scratch of the 2-horse, but I'm going to go my friend Jose. What else do we got in here? Most of the guys are looking at What About Elmo. I got him in he'll be my 3rd pick in here right now. He's got the 2 starts under his belt and a qualifier. The qualifier, he was a winner, so that, they were just more or less kind of getting him out of those tough classes. Now he takes a big drop down, but he gets the rail too, and that sort of bugs me a little bit there, so I'm going to throw him in on the bottom of my ticket. So let's move on to race number 9. And we're going to switch back over to the pace. Interesting race in here as well. Miraculous Desby dropping right down into the non-winners of 2,500, but yet he still shows on the bottom where he had a nice race in the Open 2, pacing home in 26 flat, back half, and 54 flat. I mean, if he could do that in this race, I mean, look out for the rest of them. But he just hasn't been really, giving us that good form, but he hasn't been drawn very good either. He gets the rail after that open start. Didn't really get him off into a good spot. He got away 5th, didn't really work for him. And then his last 3, he's had a 7, a 9, and a 10. Now he comes back to the 7 again in here tonight. So I'm going to take a chance with him just on the big drop down that maybe Miraculous Desby is going to be able to start getting something happening here. He's a consistent 52 winner on our circuit 2 years in a row. I think 52 would tie this class up, to tell you the truth. Maybe in a few weeks it wouldn't, but right now, the way that it is, I think 52 would tie it up. Salzbrook Ian, going to throw him in on the bottom. Really stale date on this guy, almost a month away, but I think he brings a lot of raceability. In for 3rd, I got Ethereum Party coming back from Flamborough for Tyler Borth and Jake Roberts. And Control the Power. Scotty Young going to be picking up the drive for David Snowden in here. So my numbers in race number 9, 7, 4, 1, and 2. And that gives us one more race to talk about, and that's going to be the 10th race, and where the jackpot high five, again, $73,000, over $73,000 to go in to bring into that jackpot high five. So it's going to start to become a very popular play here real soon. I'm going to go Tactical Strike in this one. Garnet also going to go Tactical Strike. I didn't use Jimon. Now, it's going to work out bad for me. He had the 9-hole, went to the front, but I simply said I just don't really trust the horse. He can go a big mile, or he can go kind of a not so big mile. He can also jump it off, in inopportune moments. Now, I think a lot of people are going to be playing Jimon tonight. I'm just going to walk away from him, and if he beats me, he beats me. But I think that he's going to be taking a lot of support, and I think he's playable against. So I'm going to go Tactical Strike, and in on the bottom, or I'm in for 2nd. I'm going to go All Gas, No Brakes. Louis Waugh going to be picking up the drive on this one. Had a real good race last week for Darrell. Been racing really good all year for Billy Davis. So Louis going to pick himself up a live drive here in non-winners of 6,000. And I use Southwind Domino in for 3rd as well. I mean, bit of a stale date. May the 10th was the last one here, but another horse that can kind of fool you once in a while, and has the 10-hole. So just a race that I don't really see any clear-cut favorites. If my retirement dream was racing a little bit better, I might, jump all over him. But I think Tactical Strike can take this group down in here. So my numbers in race number 10, 4, 9, 10, 3, and 8 on the bottom. And Tactical Strike is a 3/4 sweep. Gisland is going to go cover band. He's going to go with the 3-horse. I got him in for 4th. Raced real well in that last start for Cassidy Schneider, but does come up a class cover band. Okay, so let's take a look at some of my tickets for tonight. And we're going to start this off with my pick 5. And we're going to start off 3 deep in the first 3 legs. I'm going to go the 2, the 3, and the 4. That's going to be Ungawa, You Got It, Kemp, and Bingo Night. In race number 2, we're going to stay with the 3 deep. That's going to be Tell It, Russ, Tell It, Forefather, and Code Cracker are going to be my top pick. And Ungawa was my top pick in race number 1. Race number 3, staying with the 3 deep, PL Sapphire, Daffy Hanover, and Phoenix. Phoenix will be my top pick in there. And then the 2 singles, Premier First Star and Tour Champion, is how I'm going to close it off. So $27 ticket for $1 if you're looking to play along. And okay, so now what are we going to go to? We're going to go to my pick 6. And I'm going to start this one off with a couple of singles. So in race number 4, I'm going to single the Premier First Star. In race number 5, it's going to be a single of the 2-horse Tour Champion in there. And then in race number 6, I'm going to go 2 deep in here. Heaven's Little Dragon coming over from Cullen. Don't know much about this one, but Catch Me Gracefully. I really do think this is this one's race to win. If she didn't happen to, adjust to the big track very well, then maybe the 2-horse can bail me out on that. In race number 7, I went with an all of Stick 'Em In, Let 'Em Go. I just think he's so good right now. In race number 8, I'm going to all this one. Now, originally it was an all of 8. It's going to be an all of 7 with Mastercraft being scratched. But one of the reasons why I was alling it was due to Mastercraft. But either way, I do think that there's a possibility that I can catch a price in this race. So I'm going to all that one and then close it off in race number 9 using the 1 Ethereum Party, the 4 Salzbrook Ian, and the 7 Miraculous Desby in that one. So what are we going to head on to now? Maybe a late pick 5? Yeah. Okay, so late pick 5. This one's going to start off. Okay, so we're going to go 2 and 3 with this one. Heaven's Little Dragon, the Cullen Horse, Catch Me Gracefully is going to be my top pick. Race number 7, Singling, Stick Me In, Let 'Em Go. Race number 8, What About Elmo is not... Yes, What About Elmo is on my ticket. I did use him on there. So What About Elmo, Zed Athena, and My Friend Jose. I was going 4 deep in there with Mastercraft, but now he will not be with us tonight. So down to a field of 3, and there makes the ticket a little cheaper. Race number 9, Salzbrook Ian, Miraculous Desby. Race number 10, Tactical Strike will be my top pick, and I'm going to throw in my second pick, and that is going to be All Gas, No Brakes in that one. Yes. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the plays of the night as well. And my plays of the night are going to start off in race number 3. It's going to be Phoenix. I'm going to have him down as worth a look. I really do think he's the strongest horse in the race. It's just him coming off the layoff. It's a bit of a guess. All in's going to be Premier First Star tonight. Second start, Lasix. Going into the Cullen Barn and a big drop down in class. Beat the favorite, Tour Champion. Like I said, I thought the horse looked incredibly sound in his last start, and he's also going to take a substantial drop down, get away from the straight 8s into the dummy 8s. And Waples Watch is going to be Stick Me In and Let Him Go in race number 7. I just think this horse is on really wicked form right now, even with the outside post position. So I think that just about does it. Here we go, and we got the plays of the night from the residents. So Garnett's going to go spot play with Aragonite tonight. I think he's coming out of Dean Nixon stable. Yes, Aragonite, Louis Waugh, and Dean Nixon. Gislan going to go cover band. He's really racing good right now, and I agree with him. Pay attention on that one. 10-1, nice juicy morning line. And Kevin's going to go Crystal Baller in race number 10, but unfortunately for Kevin, that's going to be a scratch. Crystal Baller will not be going with him tonight, so no value play for Kevin in race number 10. But the other 2 horses are both in action right now. Okay, so let's take a break. Randy's voice needs a break. So I'll be back to talk to you in a couple of minutes. And sit back, get ready, because we are at Woodbine Mohawk Racetrack, and we are getting ready for a fine night of racing with 10 races on the docket. Stick around. I'll be back in a few minutes.